All right, the Reds. It is Talking Reds live with me, Gareth Roberts, and Fuad Hasan joining me. A couple of technical problems this morning, so yeah, bear with us and all that. But we think we've nailed it. We think you can hear us and see us and stuff like that. Do tell us otherwise if you can or can't or etc. But yeah, starting off with the big news this morning. New quotes, fresh quotes from Mo Salah about his contract situation. He's revealed he's not asking for crazy stuff in his new Liverpool contract. And he's opened up, it says in the Echo, how his Anfield future is no longer in his hands. Obviously, this has dragged on and on. The latest is actually told GQ magazine, apparently. He says the situation is now in the hands of the owners. I want to stay. It's not in my hand. It's in their hands, he told GQ. They know what I want. I'm not asking for crazy stuff. The thing is, when you ask for something and they show you they can give you something because they appreciate what you did for the club. I'm not sure that's fully come across in translation there, but anyway, I've been here for my 5th year now. I know the club very well. I love the fans. The fans love me. But with the administration, they've been told the situation, it's in their hands. The article also says Salah's representatives say that reports that Salah is currently paid 10.4 million a year are inaccurate. But otherwise, they would not comment on negotiations. Speaking last month, Klopp said he's not worried about the pace of negotiations. And then, and look, Salah's now said this sort of over and over, really. I mean, in October, he said he'd like to spend the rest of his career at the club. It just seems dead unnecessary, this now. It's like it's less than 18 months left. He's proven over and over again in his time here the quality he's got. He's arguably getting better. He's changed his game. He's a model professional. All of these things. Like, what is stopping them doing the deal? Like, it's just a bit mad, isn't it?
Hang on, I'm on mute. It is a bit mad, isn't it? Yeah. You sort of wondered, didn't you, at the beginning, that if it was just a little bit, both sides kind of doing the typical kind of negotiation thing and the different tactics that you see with these sort of contracts. But you'd have expected it to be done by now. It's been so long. It's been good 3, 4, 5 months that we've seen the same sort of quotes, and this is nothing new really what Salah said, as he is, like you said, he's sort of come out with similar things before, just different news outlets he's done these interviews with. And you do just want to get it done because you can. It's perfectly reasonable to believe that he isn't asking for anything crazy. We're not talking Neymar levels or Mbappe or what Haaland will demand, for example. I'm pretty sure that you're gonna, and this is obviously without knowing the inside of what's going on. You'd imagine it is something reasonable, and he's clearly a player that has obviously he wants to be paid what he's worth, just like every other, top level athlete, but he's also ambitious and he wants to be at the top level and play at the best clubs in the world. And Liverpool at the moment, if he looks elsewhere in Europe, there aren't really any other clubs that are better than Liverpool that can offer the same kind of sporting ambition as Liverpool can at the moment because of the team that they have. So you do wonder, like, what is holding this back in the end. And I just hope, the club don't see this as a thing of, well, we can just go and uncover the next Mo Salah, because I don't think it works like that. You can't gamble on finding another player like this. You can obviously, I'm sure they'll try and we want them to try, but you can't count on losing Mo Salah and doing that, because there has to be a bit of continuity with this Liverpool team, and he is the best player in the world at the moment. There's no doubt about that. When you have an asset like that, if you're talking about it from a business point of view, then you do everything you can to keep it, because the value that he's going to deliver is so huge. And I'm getting a bit fed up of it now. I think it is time that Liverpool show their ambition, to the rest of Europe as well, that they can keep these players, they can retain the best player in the world, the best player at the club. We've seen it before where Liverpool, lose their best player in slightly uncomfortable and not the best circumstances. And I think it's time that Liverpool change that to show that, this is a club here to stay at the very, very top of European football now.
It's not like they can cash in really now either, because I haven't let it run so long already, and as I say, less than 18 months left on his deal now. I don't really see that they get. Like if they were going to cash in, you would have thought they would have done already. Because if you talk about his value going up to a peak and then starting to come down again, well, it's starting to come down surely, because if clubs who were interested in him could just start negotiating off to the left, like we know that they do anyway, because no one's really bothered about tapping up and things like that. They could be starting to go, hang on, this is running and running, and there's a chance we can go and get him here. I know what you're saying about, you look around Europe and there's not really too many clubs where you think, well, would he want to go there? But equally, you have seen clubs like the big clubs around Europe. They seem to be able to do something. They pull something from the back pocket when you think they can't do it. And, and then they've got the lifestyle, the weather, all of those other things that we've said in the past have influenced players. But Mo keeps saying, as I say, in October, he said, if you ask me, I would love to stay until the last day of my football career, but I can't say much about that. It's not in my hands. It depends on what the club wants, not on me. We know he's got a good relationship with the manager. We know he's got a good relationship with the rest of the dressing room. And we know he loves the fans, as he's already said, and we love him. And, all of it seems to be right. But then, you said yourself, you situations that have unfolded in the past, like, Torres or right under different ownership, or, Coutinho. At least with Coutinho, we got the money. And with hindsight as well, it looks like, we did well out of it. But, people were annoyed that, Genie was allowed to just leave. And, it still doesn't look like the best decision in the world. But, they're going to have some seriously unhappy people on their hands if Mo Salah's allowed to just sort of see out his contract and leave Liverpool for nothing. Like, they've surely got to get this sorted. Like, I get that Klopp will always say, I'm not worried by the pace of it. He knows that his words equal headlines, so he's not going to say anything else, really. But I think from our perspective as fans, it's reaching the worrying stage, isn't it?
It is, exactly. And, it's as much to do with, his form as well. We're not talking about a player necessarily on the down in terms of his performance. Maybe value, yes, because of the contract and everything else. But in terms of what he's doing on the pitch, we're very much seeing a Mo Salah who's still going up a level. And we still don't know what level he could reach because he's just constantly delivering performances. And just seen a comment there about kind of FSG doesn't want to increase the salary cap by Indra Gurung. But, there's a thing there where we've seen Liverpool, from the beginning of this iteration of Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, there's been a very clear path of rewarding players as they've delivered on the pitch. We've seen players, virtually everyone get bumper contracts, and there's a very clear, a precedent set where it's, look, if you deliver, you will get rewarded financially. That's how we're going to work. There's obviously all the bonuses and everything else that we've seen attached on contracts in the past. But, Mo Salah is clearly still in that pathway where, he's improving constantly. So there's no reason why that framework shouldn't continue where he does get an upgrade in contract. It shouldn't be a thing about, well, we can't pay him this much because players around him might get disgruntled and you'll start having, Sadio Mane demanding these wages and Virgil van Dijk demanding these wages. I don't think it quite works like that because he's been here 5 years. Everyone around him has seen what he's done for this team and how he's, constantly been on the up. So it's not like, you're bringing in a Haaland, who's come in completely fresh into the club and he's suddenly, the highest earner by about 200-300 grand. We're not talking about a player like that. We're talking about someone who's been here and clearly kind of earned his way up the Liverpool pay scale, if you like. And if they have to break the structure, they have to break the structure. There shouldn't be a rigid thing in place where you can't kind of break out of that. There's got to be a thing there where when you have the best player in the world, you do whatever you can to keep him because you're not going to be able to replace that very easily. And it's going to be, it's going to be a long time probably before you see anyone, reach the level that he's reached because, the stuff he's doing is just incredible.
And also, he's settled. He's part of Liverpool. Yeah. He understands the club. He understands what the manager wants. He understands the system. He understands his teammates. And look, 44 goals in his first season, followed by 27, followed by 23, followed by 31, 23 again already this season. So got Michael Owen in his sights in terms of, you need 10 more goals to match Michael Owen's total for Liverpool. Owen did that in about 7+ seasons. Salah's done it in 4.5. So there's no doubt that you've got one of the best in the world here on your books right now, and it just doesn't look good. I don't get the sort of the PR around it either. I mean, this will lead to another round of negative headlines, really, of doubt, of fans like us going, well, what's going on? What are the owners up to? And they won't really say anything. We know they won't because they never do. But you know, I'm looking at a piece right now that was written about this situation a while ago, but all of this will get regurgitated. But it's saying, you know, there's doubts here about the squad in general a little bit, in that, you know, Firmino's 30, Sadio Mane's 29, Henderson's 31, Thiago's 30, Van Dijk's 30, Fabinho's 28, etc. You know, there's actually an argument that Salah could be saying, hang on, before I sign anything, I want to see some signs of ambition from you lot. But he doesn't really seem to be saying that. He seems to be saying, listen, I'm happy to do it and get it done. He's saying today, or in these latest round of quotes, that he's not asking for crazy money. You said before as well, like this thing about breaking the pay structure. I think if he did break the pay structure, there's not going to be loads of people banging on Klopp's door or FSG's door or whatever saying, well, I want that. Because surely the rest of the squad recognise his quality, his ability to win football matches. And they would surely say he deserves it. You know, he deserves a little bit more, Joe. This fella is winning his football matches on the regular. He's an absolute superstar. So, yeah, whatever way you twist it, whatever way you turn with it, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. And you know, you don't want to get in the situation where, you know, you start kind of questioning, there's questions raised about, you know, ambition versus the whole money thing with players, because, you know, like you said there, all the players around him, you know, they want to win the big trophies. They want to constantly be challenging for these titles and things like that. And, you know, they know their best chance of winning trophies and winning all these cups is with Mo Salah in their side because of the level he's at. And I don't see there being a situation where, you know, I don't think we should, you know, maybe necessarily overreact on all this, because, you know, obviously, yes, it has been dragging on, but really there's nothing too new here in terms of what's been said. You know, it's been the same thing that we've heard over the last few months. Yeah. But you just don't, you know, you don't expect it to get into a situation where you see signs of this getting onto the pitch. That's the one thing that we can be kind of positive about and be reassured about, I guess, is that, you know, the manager has handled it really well, I think, or every time it's been brought up to him. But you do just wonder, though, if there is a little bit of a disconnect, because there was a thing with Genie, wasn't there, where the manager was quite keen to keep him, I think. But, you know, I think there was a little bit of probably disagreement maybe with other people higher up in the club. You don't want to get in a situation like that again. I think with Mo Salah, you know, it's a complete different player you're talking about and complete different level you're talking about. And, you know, the sooner they get it done, the better it is for them, because, you know, like I said before, it is about showing the ambition and showing the continuity, because, you know, if you're signing players as well, you know, Mo Salah is now at the level where where you can kind of pitch to other players, look, you're going to be coming and playing with Mo Salah. You know, you're going to be playing with arguably the best player in the world. So, you know, there's also that. And I think, you know, Liverpool, the sooner they do this, the better it is for everyone involved, because I can't be asked talking about it anymore, really. I just want him signed. I just want it done. And I want him, you know, he clearly wants to stay here for as long as he possibly can. And why wouldn't you kind of capitalize on that?
Yeah, and it would provide huge feel good as well to get it done, to announce that it was done. You know, we'd all breathe a sigh of relief. You think the players would probably do the same thing.
Exactly.
So, yeah, get it done, FSG. What are you up to? Okay, well, moving on from that, there has been some fume ever since Liverpool announced that they had to close the training ground, that there was an outbreak of COVID cases, and that they couldn't play the Carabao Cup tie the other week. That is now being played, and we've now switched legs around. So, you know, Liverpool at home on Thursday, followed by travelling to Arsenal the following Thursday. Now, to me, we've given up a quite significant advantage here. You know, you want the second leg at home, and it's now Arsenal who've got the second leg at home, and I'm not really into that. I prefer it the other way around, that you're able to, you know, shut up shop a little bit, keep it tight in the first leg, and then second leg you go for it under the lights with the atmosphere, all of that kind of thing. Now, we give that up because of this COVID situation at Anfield, and I just sort of don't really get it. Like, so what that, you know, there was a situation with the test. What is it people think Liverpool have gained out of this? Because there's this big, huge, you know, you can see it on social media, in the Arsenal sphere of social media, and it's absolutely wild. There was a fella there who seems to be relatively significant. He's followed by some of the big Arsenal accounts, and he was asking for Jurgen Klopp to go on trial. It was like, what? But there's a piece overnight from Cy Hughes on The Athletic, and it says the EFL is under pressure to investigate why Liverpool players who tested positive for COVID before the postponement of their Carabao Cup semi against Arsenal were subsequently found to have been negative, with the Anfield club facing questions over the scale of their recent outbreak. The Athletic understands that the AFL has received complaints from some of its clubs over the postponement, following Jurgen Klopp's admission that all but one of the club's positive tests were false positives, meaning later tests showed these players didn't actually have COVID-19. It's believed confused clubs want clarity over exactly when Liverpool found out this information, as if it was before the Arsenal match, there's a chance the fixture could have proceeded as planned. The upset clubs want this situation investigated because a number of them have requested postponements, only for appeals to be rejected, and it goes on. I mean, Klopp said that it's only actually Trent who's ended up having the virus. Apparently, there was 2 rounds of testing. They used lateral flows, etc., etc. Then they did the PCR, which also highlighted positive cases. But a 3rd round of tests indicated that a lot of the players in question were in fact negative. Now, Si's put a line in here, which has obviously really stirred up the Arsenal world. It says, false positive results are considered highly unusual, with analysis by NHS Test and Trace showing LFD tests to have an estimated specificity of at least 99.97%. The chance of a succession of false positive results is therefore considered extremely unlikely. Now, that's all the tinfoil hat fellas have obviously absolutely dived on that. And for anyone who is on Twitter, I appreciate that everyone isn't. But it might be worth you joining just to go and laugh at this. So Si Hughes tweeted this story last night, and then it's been quote tweeted nearly 2,000 times by various. I mean, you've got some Reds in there saying, you know, the fume is beautiful and things like that. Someone there has done the independent lab conducting the COVID tests, and it's got a picture of Jürgen in a lab.
Really good.
But it's wild, this, isn't it?
Wild.
Like, do we? What extent do people think the club are going to? And again, like I said before, what advantage do people think we've gained out of this?
Yeah, it's mad. The thing that really shocks me that you just said there is that you have other EFL clubs complaining, because, you know, you expect it on social media, but, you know, if people who own or high up in football clubs thinking something's gone on here, then, you know, that's seriously worrying. And I guess it just goes to show, doesn't it? Like the lack of trust generally in football is just wild, isn't it? I know we're always going to have it. Tribalism is always going to be there, and you know, a lot of it is great and all done in kind of decent taste. But, you know, this is just a bit wild. I think, you know, the chances. I remember early on in the pandemic, you know, there were loads of these false positives, weren't there, from lateral flows and everything. So it's not out of the question. And, you know, if Liverpool were to, you know, if this was true, if this was all some big conspiracy, then, you know, why would they have done it for that run? Why would they not have done it for the run against Chelsea, Tottenham, Leicester? You know, that would have made more sense if you are going to
potentially cost us the league. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And way tighter run of games. So it is all a bit crazy. And, you know, the fume, hopefully, you know, I'm doubt it's going to get into the players, and no one's really going to be asked about it. But it's given this game, hasn't it, a little bit of a weirder edge to it, hasn't it? Because, you know, I would have preferred to have the second leg at home. And, you know, we've kind of come out at a disadvantage, especially, you know, you'd back Liverpool to overturn most results at Anfield, wouldn't you? But, you know, this might be slightly sweeter if we go there and have to win and sort of get a late winner or something like that, or protecting a lead, and we sort of see it out. It'll be nice to go to the Emirates and kind of put one to their fans as well. So yeah, it's a mad situation, and I can't believe it's something that the kind of wider media has had to report on, to be honest.
I know. I mean, I guess, you know, if it was the other way around, we would have fans among our fan base who would be questioning another club in the same way. It's just football fandom, isn't it? Like, there's always believed to be a conspiracy somewhere. I know some of my mates do that about, you know, United and whatever. And they by the way got incredibly fortunate last night to progress in the FA Cup. So, you know, one of them, isn't it? But yeah, I just seen someone there saying the more major pressing issue is salt and vinegar discos or pickled onion monster munch. It's pickled onion monster munch for me. I know Craig Hannon absolutely swears by salt and vinegar discos. He says it's part of his hangover cure. I actually had to go with that at the weekend. I seen some discos in the shop and I was feeling a little bit hungover at the time and I thought, go on. Didn't do nothing for me, to be honest. It was a bit grim, bit hard, bit cardboardy. And I much prefer a monster munch.
Yeah, wakes you up, doesn't it?
Yeah,
makes you feel alive.
It feels like a meal. Feels like something you get stuck into. You know what I mean? Instead of these sort of shitty discs in your mouth. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there. That has been Talking Reds today. Loads more to come from the Anfield Wrap. We didn't do any transfer talk on this, but there is plenty about. Been linked with a number of players, new names as well again today. So there is a separate show talking transfers. John is going to be speaking to Paul Gorse from the Echo, so look out for that. That will sate your transfer appetite. And yeah, we'll leave it there. That has been today's Talking Reds. Up the Reds.